Everybody, this is John Rubens with another episode of So Tell Me Your Story.
Gladly.
Haha, we've done episodes with Noel Stein. We've done some pretty interesting episodes before. Now, this is a lady that you've seen behind the piano at my shows, who's quite brilliant. Her name is Niki Simon Blacker. So she was born in New Jersey and moved to Florida, moved to St. Petersburg, has played some pretty big halls in the piano, had her own dance studio, has mentored a lot of people and done some really interesting things. So now I'm going to ask Niki some questions. Niki, where were you born?
Paterson, New Jersey.
And from Paterson, where did you go from there?
Passaic.
You went to Passaic, New Jersey.
Many years.
Okay, and tell me about your family as growing up. Your growing up family.
Growing up, I had a mother that passed 6 years ago, devoted her whole life to me, taught me discipline. The show goes on, dragged me all over Manhattan, every kind of lesson. She was at my side. Ran my dance studio. She was the business head. My dad was very funky, very cool, very eccentric, and very bright, and he loved sports, and he loved mentoring kids at class where he was a teacher. He had a day camp in the summer. He was very versatile, and then when he'd go home, he would kind of like peace and quiet. I have, like many of us, parts of my mother and parts of my dad, the eccentricity that I have, and I'm proud to say I am very eccentric, and I don't follow the band. I march to my own tune. My dad was like that. But I have the manners and the look when it is needed to be with people like my mother, who was also very social.
And you have a sister as well.
I have a very wonderful sister. My sister's very beautiful, and she, like I have to say, animals are at the top of her list. She's always loved and had animals like I.
Well, that's wonderful. Okay, now tell me about your early dance as a student. Why did you go into dance? What was the reason for this?
Funny, when I was 2 years of age, I was like a little round, chubby ball. And Mom took me to the pediatrician, Dr. Jolson, I remember in Paterson, New Jersey. He said, if you don't get that child losing some weight, this is like not healthy. And Mom put me in dancing school. And I excelled right away. The weight started coming off, and it started me having a dance career, performing, and then opening my studio.
That's very cool. What teachers did you work with? Did you work with any famous teachers as a child?
I really did, but the names now would have no meaning, I would think, to most people.
A lot of people they would.
Natalie Brunitska, she was the head. I mean, if you went to somebody for great training to be a ballerina, and I never had that strength because I was short, I didn't have long legs, I was long-waisted. But oh my God, she would work in Manhattan, and the windows would be up and it'd be 90 degrees, and she'd have a big cane and come by. If you didn't do something wrong, she'd hit the floor. She was tough. It taught me how to teach ballet, though I would never become a ballerina myself. My forte was doing blues and jazz and, you know, the Bob Fosse style, even before Bob Fosse became famous. And I went to Skip, and I can't think of the last name now, and I went to a husband and wife couple, the Dodges, for tap dancing lessons. Again, I enjoyed it. People loved it. It was not my forte. Jazz was what I always performed the best.
Okay, now did you also study with a gentleman who a lot of famous people studied with, Luigi?
Oh, I forgot. My God, I've told you. You see, with the age coming on, I'll be 75 soon, proudly though. I'm forgetting names. Luigi was the person to study jazz with. It was kind of odd because he's a little bit strange looking and moved kind of strange-like, but brilliant as a jazz teacher and performer. Fabulous, Luigi. Thank you, John.
Okay, now tell me about your piano career.
Oh, God. I started with a woman when I was 7 years of age, Fritzi Schlosser. She was a German Jew. She had a funny accent, and in the beginning it was hard for me. She would make comments, and I would giggle, never to hurt her. After about 11 months with her, she said, Molly, my mother's name, you got to move Niki on. I've about taught her what I can teach her. And then I was so blessed, and I met a gentleman in Manhattan that she sent me to, Edgar Weiss, W-E-I-S-S. He was a pianist for Hitler, and this is the truth. And I began studying with him, a nice, gentle, wonderful man, very aged, even looking older than his years. And one day I said, Professor Shivman, Weiss, I'm sorry, why don't you use your left arm? And he rolled up his sleeve and showed me numbers on his arm. Of course, he told me what that was from. I didn't know about stuff like that. My parents never told me. He was a wonderful pianist, but I noticed also there were like breaks in the arm as well. He was there one day living in Manhattan, crossing the street, got hit by a car. So his left arm couldn't do anything. After approximately 1 year with him, he taught me technique, how to keep the fingers curved, etc., etc. He said, I've got to move you on. And then Douglas Johnson at the, I can't remember the name of the hotel. Hopefully.
Ansonia? Was it Ansonia?
What was it?
Ansonia, was it?
Ansonia. Oh, God, John. When you get to be my age, you'll see. You forget names, but whatever. The Ansonia Hotel, and my mother brings me there. And this tall, very good-looking, broad-shouldered guy in a dressing robe. It looked oriental to me, silk and gorgeous. And there were a lot of young guys around. I thought, wow, I like it here. And he started me at the piano, and he said, your playing is amazing. He said, but your movement is what's making you outstanding. I said, what? He said, your playing is amazing. A lot of people technically can play music, but you feel it. You move it. Your arms move. You can see your whole soul is connected to the piano. And he got me. He had a very large group of men and women come. And I can't think of the name of the group. And they came and they heard me, and that's how I got into Carnegie Hall at age 11. The International Music Lovers Guild. That was it. He invited people. And it was music, people from all over the world that he knew and whatever. And he had it in his drawing room in the Ansonia Hotel. And they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. She's 11 years old, not even 11 yet. And they got me at Carnegie Hall where my picture was outside, 11-year-old wonder child, where my favorite composer, George Gershwin, I played all of Rhapsody. After that, Steinway Hall, I performed on a show, WQXR, every Friday night for quite a while. It was called Young American Artist Series. I was at the piano, and I was doing that. I was 12, I was 13, and then I said to my mother, I want to open a dancing school.
Well, we haven't gotten to that point
yet.
Oh,
my heavens.
That's another category. Okay, I have all these things in categories. Okay, wow. I know, I'm sorry, because we got to keep on track. I know how our minds think. Why don't you play just like a couple pages of Rhapsody in Blue?
Pages.
Just a little bit, just so people can know what we're talking about. Very good. That was wonderful. Now, yeah, people love to hear you play the piano. I think that's probably the greatest talent. I mean, I don't know. They love to hear you dance. They love to watch you dance. Now, okay, now it's funny. You're only 11 years old, and we're already at 9 minutes into this interview, so we're going to have to speed things up a little bit. But I think it's an interesting interview so far. Okay, now talk about your dance studio.
Another love I've been blessed with in my life. At age 16, I went to the Rabbi Gerstein, may he rest in peace, of our synagogue. Rabbi, can I rent a room? He said, a room? What, for what? I want to open a dancing school. He said, Niki, why? You perform, you play at the piano. What do you? I want to make my own money. Well, what's the matter? Your parents aren't good? Doesn't matter. I want to be independent. So, may he rest in peace, he rented me a room for $25. After about 6 months, people knew about me in the area and even in New York. it was getting so loaded with women running around, girls on their toe shoes, and people jet-tang by and tour-jet-tang down the wall. He said, Niki, you have to speak with me. This does not look like a Hebrew school here. This is a dance studio, a good one. You're going to have to leave. I love your family. But Niki, please. I was very lucky. Across the street was a kosher butcher store. And it was available for rent. They were going out of business. And Mom, Dad, and I went, and my mother said, you don't need to open a dancing school. You're going to go to college next year. I said, well, I can go locally. Well, let's go look at it. And oh my God, it smelled horrible. Dear Ann, Fonzie, and Danny, dear, dear, dear friends of ours, came and they ripped up everything, redid it, bars, mirrors. At the end of not even 1 year, I had over 150 dance students. Mary Ann Mysek, Felice, was my teacher, wonderful. I took her on, my dance partner, Bob Sepentino, came on, and then I had a toe teacher come on. It grew so big, I didn't have room. So then I went back across the street, and there, a block long, Vern Caruso was a hairstylist. They had a health spa. She owned the property. Well, I rented that whole 3/4 of a block, and I had thousands of students. I had 13 full-time teachers. It was running, thank God, by my mother. I'm not a businesswoman. I was a great dance teacher. And the studio ran and ran and ran. It was closed 6 years ago.
Fabulous. Anything else you want to say about the studio? I know that was probably one of the biggest parts of your life.
It was fabulous. Because, it was very interesting because the people that came to the dance studio that I had, Mother sat at the helm, at the desk. She had coffee. People were treated like people should always be treated. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, half the students I had came from wealthy homes. The other half didn't. And my mother would say, oh, they could come a couple times a week and do this and do that. And it was wonderful. We became one big family. I was, thanks to Ed Jarose, my dear friend, he got together a reunion. And people came from all over. And Mom was there. It was kind of before she passed. And Eddie, too. It was something I'll never forget. One of my highlights, the dance reunion. Yeah.
Now, I was at that reunion, and it was very beautiful.
Yeah.
And one thing I took from the reunion is it really had little to do... I mean, I know that a lot of professional dancers came from the Niki Simon School of Dance.
Yeah, on Broadway.
But one thing that I got out of that reunion is that the Niki Simon School of Dance taught a lot of people how to be individuals, and it gave them confidence to go on with the world and to do other things, which I think is really important.
It did. It did.
And I know that your partner took over the studio for many years, and he ran it under the name of Niki Simon Blacker.
That's right.
And I know that your recitals, when people would wait around the block to buy tickets, and it was at the
Central Theater in Passaic.
Central Theater.
Yeah.
And you put on really wonderful productions.
My dad was the MC. My dad got the music together for it that he recorded. That was a forte of his, basically.
And I know that Melba Moore would perform at your recitals because you were very dear friends.
Well, we went through college together and became like John's.
Now tell me about your college years.
Oh my heavens, I won't mention the name. I went to Montclair State College where I met up with Melba Moore, as John said, and Paul Plishka, a lot of very well-known people in performing arts. I accompanied the opera workshop there. Many of the vocalists had me as their accompanist, and I loved it in all my glory. Okay. I had a piano teacher there. Again, I'm not mentioning the name. And I would sit at the piano, and I'd start, and if I was playing something dreamy, I'd be like, oh, I'm in another world, huh? Something jazzy. Now you sit still. You're not dancing now, Niki. Sit at that piano. Don't move. Just play. Now, he played brilliantly, technically. That's all I want to say. When I graduated college, 4 years later, I said, Ma, I don't want to touch the piano anymore. She said, you never play. I said, I got really turned off by the piano from my teacher. That's all I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't play it for years after I graduated.
Interesting.
Well, it's terrible.
Interesting. Okay, and then you got married.
I did.
Mm-hmm. And you moved away.
To Florida because I don't like the cold weather. No, that's not really why I moved. No, my ex and I, Barry Blacker, good man, we were miles apart in personalities. He was a wonderful dad. He was a good man, and I'm a good woman. But we were growing further apart, and I was really married to my career. And we were ready to get our divorce. Lo and behold, got stuck in Manhattan one day filling out papers and whatever. I went with my ex. I was pregnant, and we went on to, he was in the service in the Air Force in Oklahoma City. And I had my second child. Laura and Monty are my children, a year and 6 days apart.
Okay, and tell me about military life. Did you like it? Did you hate it?
It's a funny question. How do I want to say it? The things I liked about it. I found the most fabulous antique flea market that I'll ever see again in my life. It was about 20 minutes away, and I started hoarding fabulous sterling silver jewelry. I wish I had it now. I didn't know what sprattling meant or anything, but I've had good taste. So I would go to that flea market all the time. I had full-time help for Lara and Monty. They were newborn and a year old babies. And I really wasn't interested in going other than shopping at the Air Force Base because they were very good deals. I've always loved good buys on good quality, whether it's food, clothing, jewelry, or anything. So that kept me interested. But I couldn't wait to leave Oklahoma, God forgive me.
Okay, so then you moved from Oklahoma to St. Petersburg, Florida,
yes.
where you spent 20-something years in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Well, here's the thing. I moved there, okay, coming from a very active career and coming from 2 years living off base in a military type thing. That it's to be respected, but it wasn't my thing, okay? Then I moved to St. Petersburg with 2 little children. I had to get busy immediately. Immediately. I went to the Jewish Community Center. A wonderful man by the name of Manny Canner was in charge of a lot of the things going on there. He's incredible. And he met me. He was friends with my ex-husband, Barry, and hired me right away. And I started a dance studio in the Jewish Community Center that went very, very well. I then was told about the St. P. Little Theater. And may she rest in peace, a woman, Rosemary Hansford, was in charge.
No, Rosemary Hughes.
Rosemary Hughes. I'm sorry. We have a dear friend, Rosemary, that helped me at the piano, and John, too, here in Florida. Rosemary Hughes hired me, and I met John Rubens there as a student, super talented. My daughter Lara was in it, Monty was in it, and I made so many wonderful friends of both the students and their parents. I was there for a number of years, and then I also worked at the in downtown St. Petersburg. It was a rep company theater, American Stage, where I did workshops in dancing, music, and the whole Megillah. Okay, I kept active. I loved being active for the Jewish organizations. Hadassah, I was vice president. I did a few fashion shows I put together for Hadassah. And I had to keep busy, as I still do now.
Alrighty. So then you moved to Miami Beach.
Yay! Miami
And tell me about your life, and we're running out of time, really.
I'm sorry.
So tell me about your life in Miami.
Miami
And we didn't,
Beach.
okay, well, first of all, we didn't even cover your antique business, but that doesn't seem to be, I mean, you love it, you
I
adore
took
the
over
people.
for Steve Person.
Yeah.
He had a store, Steve and Jeff got me hooked in the business big time, my dear friend Jeff Person. Steve taught me about clothing and would get, for his absolutely amazingly wonderful wife, Ada, would buy clothes for me that I had found at thrift stores, whatever. So the Person family got me in the business. I did have an antique store for quite a while.
So now you moved to Miami Beach.
Yes.
Tell me about life in Miami Beach.
I first came to Miami Beach when I was 9 years of age, and I pushed the hell out of my father. Dad, I gotta live there. It's cool, it's funky, it's unique, it's loud, it's full of energy. St. Pete is gorgeous, but too quiet for me. I love this energy, sometimes rough, bad energy, but it's energy here. Here we have people of all kinds. I love South Beach, I love Miami Beach, and I love the mix of people. And I love the eccentricity. You can walk around in a bikini, in a nightgown, or a cocktail dress.
Okay. So your life here. So you spent the first couple of years on a raft in the ocean, loving it.
That's right.
And then
Wait,
a
I
store
had 6
in.
cats. Wait.
I know we moved here with 6 cats, and then a beautiful store in Coconut Grove with 5 other
Lincoln
wonderful
Road.
people, and of course Lincoln Road. We had a beautiful
Gorgeous store.
and now you spend your days. You just get up at. I'm trying to edit this
2
because
a.m.
we'll
I
never
get
get out of here.
up, and 4 o'clock. I don't care rain or snow or sleet. I go outside, take care of 82 cats. They're wonderful. They're prosperous. They're doing well. They eat well. Especially they love the chicken that I cook every other day. 10 pounds for these cats. Then I come in, and then guess what I do? I practice at the piano, where I'm in another place. And then, if it's not raining, but it's been raining quite a bit lately, I go to the pool, get my exercise there. Then I come in, John, and I rehearse music, and many times a week, thank God, we perform. I do the West Palm Antique Show with John. I adore it. Kay Puckstein, our promoter, is second to none. The people there I get to meet are people I bunk into that I knew from New Jersey, New York. They're people my age. Most of them are not young kids that come. They know what they want, and I enjoy it. It's a very social thing also for me. But performing is my love. And the cats. I have 2 wonderful children. Abby I adore, Kurt I adore, Lara and Monty, Mike. I have 5 grandkids. I am so very blessed in my life, and God has given me good health. I'm blessed. And I have John, talented, wonderful, outgoing. We're very much alike. And I'm very blessed.
All right. Well, I think you did a wonderful job of summing up the interview. I think it's quite an interesting interview. Now, normally, as people know, I normally give Stella Dora cookies or something. But I didn't give you anything. I'm sorry. I got nothing to give you. I could give you a shell, but those are your shells. So
I can't
all right.
give you anything.
Play us out a little bit. Play us out. Play us out. And then we'll... Everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I know there's a lot of things we did not cover with Niki, but now she's gonna. And thank you for watching this episode of So Tell Me Your Story. I hope you found it interesting. If you know anybody who has an interesting story to tell, please contact me. Thank you very, very much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.